don't know why it's so delayed. Looks like it glitched out. That's okay. Hey, Bolt. We're gonna be trying to draw a character that's kind of important as far as the main cast go, just because she's probably a very complex character, but that doesn't mean she's like a good person. In fact, I would say for the majority of the story, she's like a minor antagonist who's really sabotaging herself. Her horns are kind of like an inverted version of Awina's because they come to the front in like a crown. She's also got like a much slimmer face than Awina. She's got kind of a hooked nose. She is kind of the opposite of what Valley women are supposed to be. She hasn't made a name for herself yet. She is... I'm just checking that it's proportional. She is trying to prove herself to her family, but it's not going very well because she is kind of the opposite of what Valley women should be. She is a ranged fighter. She prefers magical attacks to physical combat, and her magic isn't quite as showy as a lot of people's. So she doesn't really see herself as being worthy in a way, and that causes a lot of conflict for her. So because of that, she basically takes it out on people who really don't deserve it. Instead of trying to like improve herself or confront the fact that she bases her worth off of outdated ideals of what it means to be like a woman or like a functional member of society, she takes it out on Awina. Like, that's just her reaction to feeling like she is insufficient, is to pick someone she sees as less than her and bully the crap out of her for it. The thing I really want to accomplish with Cerulia is point out that a lot of like prejudice comes from a place of real insecurity, that like I am someone who has been through a lot in my life, but I want to point out that like just because you're hurt doesn't mean you can go off and like continue that cycle of pain and hurting people. Like, that's not the goal you should have. She finds real insecurity in the fact that Awina is better at performing the role of a Valley woman than she is, even though she is born Valley. She sees it as almost like stolen valor. So she's incredibly racist. Like, she just... Hey, baby! Oh, you want out? You want out? There you go. I want to make her feelings about herself understandable, and then show why just because something's understandable doesn't mean that, like, it's excusable. Oh, well, hello! It's good to see you. Hi, Nana! Hi, Magician of Sky. Hi, Voltonic. So she's one of the struggles I'm gonna have with writing her is that I mean, she's not a great person. I want her to be understandable without being like good. You have drama for me. You know I love drama when it's not involving me. So tell me what's up. Her homeland is the land of the sun, Way Banale. So I think I may. They don't really have like pointy triangles coming out from the sun. They kind of have triangles going into the sun. That's how they view the sun, because the rays get bigger. So I think what I'm gonna do, she's a magic user. She prefers to channel her magic, and that means channeling the magic of the environment. So I think what I'm gonna do, and of course the Valley also like to beat people up with sticks, so their staves are multifunctional. Welcome back. Their hands are kind of rated E for everyone. I also feel like she has device on her own like hand, kind of channel. Maybe like a set of gloves that the others don't have. They're kind of chunky as far as like their costume design goes. It's very like chunky geometric patterns. And they have their folds, I guess, are kind of they're not quite like the folds we had in Europe. They're more like they're dissected like vertically and horizontally. Oh, Lesbian Space Princess. I've heard of that. Is it any good? Let's see, what size of pen am I going to be playing with today? I feel like maybe a 1 for the outline. Maybe an 8 and a 5. Because there's nothing on here that's like tiny. That's beautiful. Okay, so we're all united in hate around this particular show. Enlighten me. What's going on with this show? Why do we all hate it? Because I am a fan of several, like, cringe fandoms. Several fandoms everyone likes and criticizes, or everyone hates and criticizes. So, like, I'm very curious. I'm very curious about this. We're not gonna talk about how many times it took me to get that line correct. We're just gonna move on. All of you are homophobic if you don't like Lesbian Space Princess. Interesting. I really enjoyed a clip I saw from Lesbian Space Princess about these three guys who were just like, they hated the Lesbian Space Princess. So they, the big guy tells the others to kill her. And then there's like this whole bit with a thespian, which I'll admit are slightly more annoying than anybody else. Thespians are. And I have like a bunch of different segmented things, like these wrapped legs. I tend to do it in parts. And I try to remember like what should go on top of what, but I think for the most part, it doesn't really matter super a lot. She wraps her legs because she has compression issues. She has blood flow issues, so she wraps her legs to kind of compress them, and also to protect them against like water and stuff, so. I like other people's drama. I don't like when I'm involved, yeah. I like to be like a passive observer to something I never have cared about before and will not care about again. I don't know why. I guess because it's like a safe way to participate and have like an opinion on something that ultimately doesn't matter. Will not affect my life and I can turn off later. I did not watch the movie, no, I don't have Netflix. I'm trying to save up, so I don't have, like, streaming services. I guess we're doing the outer part of this also in 0.8, just so that it's contiguous and standardized, because I used the wrong size for that. And then I think we're just gonna... I'll be honest, from what I saw of the movie, I kind of thought it was a parody. Like, I've seen some clips. I thought it was just like a fun little romp. Nothing to be taken seriously, you know? Like, kind of a play on all the stereotypes around, like, lesbians and gay people. Hi, Vincent! It's so good to see you! How have you been? And then, of course, she's gonna have boots, so I gotta give her, like, big, chunky soles. Those are weird soles. We're gonna go with it anyway. We're just gonna call that a day. That's fine. We'll figure something out. And then here's of course her horns. I once heard the advice that good line art means either fast, long strokes or short, slow strokes. Like this. Where you kind of guide it. I didn't actually think I'd do that very well, but it actually came out decently, I guess. But I am very excited to hear about this random drama. I kind of feel bad for the creators just because, like, imagine you spent your, like, adulthood working on something. You finally got, like, a break with, like, Netflix. And the product that came out was Lesbian Space Princess. I'm gonna make her smile. I like to think she has good days, even if she is awful. I know who she is. Nobody else is gonna see this random concept art. I mean, other than you guys, but we're gonna pretend that's not happening. Now we go down to the 5. I'm gonna use the 5 for, like, the inner details of different parts of the body. And I think that will be cool. Oh my gosh, thank you for the subscription! And yes, thank you so much. I made this myself. Yeah, I wish even my enemies would not be in those shoes, because, like, you know, even if it's not great, it's from the heart, and that's important. I honestly, though, will tell you why I support Lesbian Space Princess. It's because it's mediocre queer representation by a queer person. So, like, it's bad, and yet it's still got the green light on Netflix. And so that's actually really important because it means that, you know, we don't really have to try twice as hard anymore, or, you know, be so exceptional that, you know, we're overcoming the whatever, you know, we're able to be bad at things too, and have it be clowned on and still have gotten the chance, you know? Like, I think that that's great. I think that, not having to prove ourselves before we're allowed to do anything is pretty neat, and so yeah, even if it's bad, I think it's culturally significant, partially because it's bad. I'm queer. I don't really know how to brand what kind of queer I am, because I like girls, I like guys, but I've never, like, had, like, consistency in that. It shifts. But, like, the idea that, like, explicitly queer art can reach such a massive audience, and be bad, and you know, people hate it, but it still got the chance. It still got to be out there. It didn't have to super prove itself before it got out there. I think that that's actually progress. Is it great? The show itself? No, but what it means for the queer community is, so it gets passed from me. We're just gonna draw the sun symbol again. Again, triumph of light over darkness. They would really like Holy. I'm gonna be so real. Or, no, not Holy, Diwali. That's their whole, like, motif, is the triumph of light over darkness. So we're just gonna erase the mess out of that. Clear that up, get all the pencil lines to go away. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I feel, is if someone worked really hard at something, I don't want them to be hated for it, just because, like, it's bad. Because I think most of the stuff that I've created sucks. I have this 934. What's 934 look like? That's pretty good. I might put her more towards rose beige or salmon. They're kind of supposed to have a natural skin tone, so apricot might be good. But I kind of feel like for this one in particular, I want to beat people over the head with the metaphor a little bit. Maybe potato brown. Yeah. We'll go for rose beige, which is Y812. And that's going to be her skin tone, so we're just going to color that in. There's a hair on the marker. I'm glad I picked that up early. It's so weird seeing the colors come to life in a traditional sense. Because until I got into digital art, I didn't have markers or Prismacolors or anything because they were just so expensive. So I never had traditional art really come to life for me. I think one of the things in life to be mindful of is captured really well in a Garfunkel and Oates song. And it's hold on. What do I want her shoulder pads and such to be? Because I don't want it to be like bright red. I want it to be kind of more subtle than that. Maybe apricot would be good. I think apricot's good. We can get apricot. I want you to look at the top of this and see what color it is. And then I want you to look at like what apricot actually looks like. Hold on. So this is apricot, and this is the top. Alright, it's like way lighter. We're gonna go in with this orange color. It doesn't really look orange on the screen, it looks red, but that's okay. Don't ask why they're wearing like hazard orange when they're supposed to be like the royal guards and guarding, and therefore, you know, they'd want some subtlety sometimes. I never said I was good at planning things out. We're putting them in hazard orange. But also I do think I want them to be visible and kind of eye-catching. Just so the reader knows to pay attention to them. He looks actually really cute in that kind of clothing. So, we're gonna continue that here. As for the armor itself, I think that's going to be a warm gray. Let's see. Maybe a warm gray 03. Is there a warm gray 01, or is it just warm gray 0 and then warm gray 3? Rude. No, oh, I just slapped the microphone. Sorry about that. Actually, give me a second. We're gonna go on an adventure. There we go. Or maybe I'll put a blue-gray on it. That kind of matches Awina a little. And also it's kind of like an opposite color. We're gonna test that on its own. The problem with that is it's kind of the same brightness. So if I get a blue-gray 01, how is that gonna look? See, that's the thing, is you really gotta pay attention to not just like the color, but like the value. I think that works. I think that works really well, actually. So we're gonna color that in. And then that's gonna be the color of the metal on her. They used to have really intricate markings as part of their culture, but the problem is that since I have to draw it, I'd have to draw all those intricate markings on multiple characters every time any character showed up in frame. So I wound up removing those. There'll be times they're mentioned probably, but like, you won't see anyone wearing them just because, that's why their arms are covered up. So it can be like a bit of lore without it having to be present, and therefore me having to draw it. Bye-bye! It steals. That sounds very good. A horror game on Halloween. I hadn't really thought about Halloween as far as like what I wanted to do. I guess I haven't really done like Halloween streams before. Those would be really fun. Later tonight I've got some commissions to work on, which I'm very excited about. I do have commissions. If anyone is interested, just let me know. And I'll send you the information. This is kind of in shadow, so I'm just going to color it the darker color. And then for... need to make sure I'm getting the right yellows. Do I want dim green or anise? Dim green. It says dim green, but it's marked Y, which means yellow. So I don't know what's going on with that, but we're gonna do dim green, I guess. And then apricot will be kind of the lower color on this. And then we just kind of gotta pick a different in-between color. So I'm thinking we could do rose beige, but then people would think she just like has her shirt off. I'm thinking sunflower. Actually, I'm gonna go for 512 eggshell. I don't think that this is an eggshell color. To be honest, I'd use their pure or their pearl white as an eggshell. But it is a decent transition color for us here, so. And then I think I'm gonna edge the shirt with that. And go back in with dim green. Well, no, because the undershirt is supposed to be kind of dark, so. That's rose beige. Back with eggshell for the trim on the shirt. And then we're gonna do a darker color. Thinking maybe blue gray 05 because that's in the same kind of color family. And it's way darker. Generally, we wouldn't have blue on these characters though. So I may go with a warm gray. Depending on if it reads as blue or as gray, and it's kind of reading as blue. But at the same time, I really don't want to put, I don't want to make the color too dark. And since we've already gone with blue-gray as the gray, it's probably better to just... In this case, we can just assume the reader will know that this is not blue, it's black, but we're just shading it lighter so that people can see the shading on it. Or it's like a dark gray sort of thing. And then we'll do the same for the sleeve or the arms. The gloves, that's what this part of the armor is called. But also I think giving her a slightly bluer tint to her clothing is a good idea because it betrays the fact that she is not what people think she should be. She is failing at being the ideal Valley, and that is really getting to her. I think kind of having that haunt her design is also good. So we've had a little bit of a spill there, but that's okay. We'll fix that later. The main theme with her is she isn't Valley enough. She isn't fire elemental enough. And she handles that by taking it out on Awina, who is kind of the newbie. And more importantly, it's also like racially motivated because Awina is not a fire elemental. She is half fire and half water. Or half ice, and that makes water. So she gets to do a few things, but she can learn both. This isn't a world where you're like locked in to whatever your parents were. She can do whatever she wants, but we're gonna get something slightly darker than apricot to shade it, and I'm thinking orange, which is actually red. None of these colors correspond to what they actually are, and it perplexes me every time I open my marker cabinet. So to speak. I don't actually have a cabinet for it, they just kind of live on my futon. Hello, Choco. It's good to see you. We're gonna give her a bit of blush, I think with that same apricot, just to keep the colors. That's orange. We're not gonna put orange on her face, we're gonna put apricot. Which is not this color, it's this red color. It's very interesting. She gets to be cute until you find out that you really don't like her. Put some more of that old Blue Gray 05 on her feet. And we got boots. And they're made of metal, so they're not gonna have issues, so. I think I might. What if I just. That's more like it. I have no idea what to make her hair color. Geranium. 9 to 18. Geranium. I think the saddest thing about her is she really could have been great, but she let her own biases and insecurities sink her ship, and that sucks, because it really sucks when someone who has potential turns out to just be so married to hatred and insecurity that they never get to see that potential, and they ruin their own lives and the lives of others. I definitely should have gone for brown, but we're here. We can make it an ombre. But yeah. So she's interesting. I wish she had better perspective on life. But instead she gets to be a villain. Blames other people for her problems that she caused herself. I'm gonna put some shadows in. For this, I think that the shadow we need to put in is like marine blue. No, Prussian blue. What number is Prussian? 035. There we go. We're gonna put like some texture on that so it looks like a... For the gloves, we're gonna put like a stifling texture. Because it's leather. Whereas for this, we can put like a cross hatch a little bit because it's cloth. And then we're gonna go to that's really cool. I like that idea, Boltronic. This is what they think pearl white is, by the way, just so y'all know. That's beige. That might actually be good for, yeah. This is Warm Gray 03. I don't think we actually use this on anything. Most of my characters are complex, but that doesn't mean that they're all going to be good people. There are narrative consequences when your complexity, when you basically give into your complexity and decide, I'm not going to try to be a good person because I've had a bunch of bad things happen to me. Therefore, I should be able to do what I want, and, you know, other people should cater to my heart and my harm. Versus, okay, I've had these bad things happen to me. I want to get better. Because I've been both, you know, in my life. I think everyone's been both at different points in their life. I think everyone struggles with their own pain, and everyone has pain. Even people with lives you think are easy probably have pain. And they've got to grow out of it. They've got to get better, and honestly, kind of the less pain someone has had, the more that, like, anything that does come their way, any hardship that comes their way is like baby steps. Like, someone who's been through it, you know, they know they can pick themselves back up and put themselves back on their feet and find a way. As somebody who's never been challenged before, that's like a foreign concept to them, that they not only can, but even that they should have to. I think that's really interesting as like a narrative I kind of want to explore. Everyone's pain is valid because oftentimes it's their first time experiencing that kind of hardship. So of course they're not going to do it well. But what matters isn't how they did it last time, it's what they're going to do this time, and whether that's an improvement or a step back, and what they do about that step back. Kind of like when someone apologizes, but they don't name what they did. I never take that seriously because, like, you can't even say what you did, what's upsetting me. Then you don't actually mean the apology. You're saying words to get me to calm down. But if you say, hey, I did this, this, and this wrong, and I'm really sorry, and I want to get better, so here's what I'm going to do. Do you have any ideas for things I could do? Then I know that, like, yeah, you mean it, because you're not only, you've got, like, a presentation of what you're going to do differently, but you've got, like, check-ins, and you want, you know, to improve. You're holding yourself accountable. You can name what you did wrong, why it was wrong, and what's gonna change next time. and then I can give you the chance to improve. Because I know that you at least can identify what went wrong. And then if you don't improve and you just keep saying, oh, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, and then you never do, then I know that you're just saying words. I need like a stronger white pen. These acrylic markers are not as strong as I kind of thought that they would be. But they're also cheap knockoffs, so I'm not like complaining. They're not like a name brand. If this was like a name brand expensive thing that I'd spent like 80 bucks on, then I'd have opinions, but I feel like I really can't. Because pigment is expensive, so if I'm not willing to pay expensive prices for pigment, then I can't complain about the pigment not being super pigmented. But I think that's all for today, honestly. I know it's a really short stream, but I love you guys, and I just kind of wanted to check in, and we might be live tomorrow as well.